What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? It's your girl Candy J coming back to you with another episode of Candyology. Wait, I've been missing it. Actually, wait a minute. Okay, no. Listen, if you've been following me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that, you know that I go live. I do my little reels. I give you some tidbits about what sex education, mental health. What else do I give tips about? Girl, do you know?
Any and everything.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Any and everything. Literally.
So listen. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Hence the pink and luscious hair, y'all, and the pink balloons and all of the little decorations we got going on. But y'all, do y'all know who this is? It's your girl who? Hey. Okay, wait. From what? Wait. What's your from? What was the
No,
Oh, wait. It was
I'm
who?
right.
No, I'm right.
No, I'm right.
Shout out to our boy and her cousin. Leonard Anderson, LA. So listen, we'll be back in about 5 seconds. You know, we gotta do a little intro and stuff. But you know, we're talking about pink women's aid. Is that what the
Women's aid.
girl? I hope you gonna explain what that is. Jesus. Oh man, don't you know you missed that intro? I know you did, and yeah, you're right. It's your girl singing on the intro. Yeah, it's not a mistake. It's me. Um, y'all know I'm the singing counselor. I can't help it, you know. And one of the things that I love about my sister right here is we will bust out in a church song. Because if you don't know, I'm a PK, and we will bust out in a church. I mean, let me see.
Which one?
Oh, girl, wait. Take me to the wall.
Going to the water today,
We are
right?
not. We are not going to the
Okay.
water. Okay, so what in the world? We said the name of the show is called Pink Women's Aid.
Yes.
What in the world is that, mother?
Pink Lemon's Aid is my new nonprofit initiative that I am starting for breast health and breast cancer awareness. Yes. In the young Black community.
In the young Black community.
Yes.
Okay, so girls and boys, does it matter?
No, does not.
Okay.
Does not.
Well, so what age range are we thinking about?
Any age range.
Really?
Breast cancer is fluid in all age groups. It does not discriminate at all.
And it's so unfortunate though. Like, but so that actually takes me to my first question. What is your relationship with cancer? Like,
I am a current warrior, which means that I am currently battling.
okay.
I'm still battling.
Wait. So like, we battling like this,
Yeah,
or we battling like this?
that too. You know, when you're going through something like this, you have to know how to battle both ways.
Absolutely. So, I mean, did you have anybody in your family that had cancer before?
My dad's mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. I don't know what stage she was. I don't know what kind of breast cancer it was. I just know that I found out, and a few months later, she was gone.
So she never went to go get checkups or anything like that?
If I'm not mistaken, they found hers during a checkup. It was in her late 50s, early 60s.
Okay, so like she was already stage 4 or 5 at the time.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that she was probably like a stage 4, stage 5. Mm-hmm. If she wasn't a stage 4, stage 5, it was metastatic, which means that it had spread. So yeah.
So through all of this, right? Because we're gonna get to her story, but through all of this, have you done your research? Like, did you have to do research when you got into this?
Kinda. I've always been like a breast cancer awareness advocate. Because it's always been a passion of mine, because I didn't have a great relationship with my grandmother, because I didn't really get to spend a lot of time with her. So, she was taken at a time where I wanted to learn more about her, because I know my mom's mom, but I didn't know my dad's mom. So, that provoked something in me that was I've always just been connected to breast cancer awareness.
So, in previous years, how did you help celebrate?
So I would do like the Susan G. Komen walk. For a few years, I tried to do my own initiative, but it didn't really take off. I think at the time I was probably younger, so I was a little bit more careless with it than I am now. So it wasn't something that picked up, but this time for me, it's something full force.
Right. Right. So take us back, right? Okay. How did this happen? How did we discover that we had cancer?
Oh my goodness. So my daughter turned 16. So it was time for her. Yes. It was time for her first Well Woman's exam. So I needed to have mine done too. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to book them on the same day. We went to the doctor. She was so uncomfortable with just being examined, with taking her, her shirt off so that she could have her breast examined. She didn't get a pelvic exam, so she just got her breast, exam, and she was uncomfortable. Right. And for me, that was weird, because my mom is the kind of mom where she taught me to do that, like examine your breast every month. If you need to, multiple times before your cycle and after your cycle. So it was, for me, it wasn't even second nature, it was firsthand. It was like every month I would examine my breast. So for it to be weird for her, for me, that was scary. Because for me, that meant, well, dang, she'll never, examine herself. And a lot of times it goes unnoticed and can be lethal, because women just don't practice breast health. We have these breasts, and we're more into getting our bodies done, snatch, pull, and tuck than we are, which is our basic woman's health. So you're comfortable.
It's kind of odd that you say that, right? Because my mom's a nurse, right? But I did not learn to examine my breast from my mom.
Really?
At all.
So what did you learn?
I learned it from a doctor, I learned it from the nurse at school, because they were asking, well, do you check your breast? Because as y'all can see, I'm well endowed, right? I started having breasts when I was in elementary school, maybe. And so they were like talking to us about feeling on your chest, and I thought it was weird at first, because why would I feel on myself, right? And then they were like, no, you need to check and make sure, you can catch things early. And I was like, catch what? And at that age, you're talking about diseases and all that, right? So I learned it from her. And then I asked my mom about it. And she wasn't really helpful. Even though she's a nurse, she really wasn't that helpful, right? So what was your conversation with kind of before this?
So she wanted to know, like, what was going to happen during the exam. I wasn't sure, because she's a Taurus, for one. So she's very headstrong, and she's very set in the little ways that she's already developed. She's set in them. So, the pre-conversation of it was just, I hope that you're not going to be too uncomfortable. You need to tell the doctor what's going on with you, because like right now she's experiencing like a heavy cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a concern.
Right.
So I'm telling her, like, they can't heal what you hide. You have to tell them like what's going on with you. So I'm not a doctor. You can tell me, and I'm gonna be concerned. I'm bringing you to the doctor so that you can tell them what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So the pre-conversation was just, make sure that you're honest, tell her what's going on, and even if you get uncomfortable, she's your doctor. Right. So even if you don't want to tell me, tell her, because she can fix it. I can't. I can only help you pray and worry about it. So that was the pre-conversation. I think so we're in the doctor's office. I go first so that she feels, I'm thinking it'll make her feel a little better, more comfortable, more relaxed. But she's really like, ew, Mom, I gotta look. You don't have to, but I'm thinking, this will help you get more comfortable. Right. So I get my breast exam and I get a pelvic exam. The pelvic exam, she's turned backwards the whole time. She's like, I came out of there, I don't need to see it again. Okay? So that went by, and she watched the doctor examine my breast, everything. And she was like, so she's going to do that to me? And I was like, she's going to examine your breast. But she wasn't sexually active, so there was no need to do a pelvic exam. Right. So she's in there, and, she's sitting on the chair, and she's like this the whole time. And, she was just uncomfortable. So the doctor was trying to talk her through it, and she did, and, she got through it. But for me, that was scary for her, because it meant that she hadn't been doing them, for one, or if she has, she hadn't been telling me. Right. And then for two, it meant that she's probably not going to do it in the future. Mm-hmm. So it was a wake-up call for me, and it made me go home and talk to her about it some more. Right. So we get home, we're talking about it more. So she's finally taking me serious, and so she's like, okay, Mama, show me one more time. Mm-hmm. So I take my bra off, I lay on the bed, I show her, I'm rubbing, and I feel this ball. Like, it felt like if you had stuck something under a rug and tried to flatten it. But it was hard. But wait, they didn't catch this at the doctor? They did not. My doctor did not catch it. Wow. Wait, I mean, that's a lot. Right? Same day service. You said a lot in that just 30 seconds. Yes. The doctors did not catch this, y'all. So she went back home to show her child. Look at how God works, though. Because if she had not been doubtful, right, you wouldn't have opened that door again to show her, and then you wouldn't have found it. Right. Because the doctors didn't find it. Continue. And I was, at the time, I was only 36. Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry, I had just turned 37. I'm not scheduled to take a mammogram for another 2 to 3 years. Yeah. If that. Right. And at the rate that my tumor was growing, I would have been dead. Yeah. So after you found it, like, what was did you tell her in the moment? Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like, see, I wasn't scared at first because I thought, okay, it's a teaching moment for one. Mm-hmm. But for two, I never would have thought I had breast cancer. I never would have thought that. So so you found this lump. So what did you do next? After you talked to my doctor. Okay. I called my doctor, and I'm sorry, Sandra. She told me my doctor wasn't available, so I told her a few choice words. I did. I never called that lady back. I would never talk to that lady again. But if you did this, Sandra, I apologize. Mm-hmm. Now you know why. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So I called her office. She told me she was unavailable, that I would need to call back and leave a voicemail. So instantly I'm pissed. Mm-hmm. I call back and I keep calling, and I just tell her I'm not going to stop calling until I get my doctor on the phone. Right. So I call the next day 3-4 times, leave messages. I get no call back. So now I'm frantic. I'm livid because this happened. I found my lump on September the 14th. I didn't get to.
Okay, continue.
Yes, I didn't get to.
Oh wow.
Get a mammogram until September 27th.
What?
Mm-hmm. So I didn't talk to my doctor again until September 17th. Yeah. And she was really vague and really quick, like, oh, well, I didn't feel anything. Actually, I can tell you exactly how the call went. She said, hello, Amber. I said, hey, Dr. Adiami, was my breast exam okay? And she said, yeah, it was perfect, clear, like always. And I said, okay, well, when we left your office, Kyle was a little nervous, so I came home, wanted to show her. She asked about the breast exam I'm showing her, and I found a lump. And she said, no, you didn't. And I'm like, in my mind, if I could have reached through the phone and shake her, I probably would have. Because it was like, you already missed it, but now you're not taking me serious.
Right.
And I don't feel like I'm a problematic patient. I've had this same doctor. She delivered both of my children. Mm-hmm. I've been seeing this doctor since I was 16. Mm. So I guess that relationship that had been built is what really hurt the most, was that it was like, you grew up with me.
Right.
So for me to tell you this and you to treat it like it's just another patient,
right.
It was like a real pause for reality real quick. Like, oh, okay, well, because you can't treat me like a patient, I can't treat you like a doctor, right? So I asked her, I said, well, if I were to find a lump, what would I do? She said, well, you need to call the imaging center. Where do you live? I said, Cedar Hill. She said, okay, well, they have the imaging center in Waxahachie. It's a really good one. I said, okay. I hung up. I called the imaging center. But it was a Sunday. I believe the 17th was a Sunday. So I'm not thinking, because I'm trying to figure out like what's going on, what's going to happen. September the 19th is my dad's birthday. Mm-hmm. I get a call from the imaging center. They want to schedule me for a mammogram, a baseline mammogram. Mm-hmm. A baseline mammogram is a mammogram that you don't take until you're 40, 42. Right. I'm like, okay. I go in, I take off my gown, and the first thing I do is pray, because I'm like, I know that God isn't going to put more on me than I can bear. Right. And in the moment, I was going through so many other things. I really think that God needed to distract me and get my attention. And God will get your attention in the funniest ways. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there. She calls my name. She's like, I still had a necklace on. I had my cross on. And so she said, you'll have to take it off. And I said, if it's okay with you, I want to keep it on. Mm-hmm. And she said, are you a believer? And I said, yeah. And she said, are you nervous? And I said, no, I'm just trying to prepare myself. Because really in my mind, I had already knew. Right. So she said, well, do you mind if I pray with you? I said, not at all. But I had already prayed with myself, so I was okay with it. Right. So we prayed, and I set my boob on the tray. She mashed down, and she found it instantly. It's right there.
So at this point, what are you feeling? What are you thinking?
Okay. You know how, like, when you first fall in love, mm-hmm. and you think the world of this person, mm-hmm. and then something happens, whether it's your fault, their fault, whatever, but the relationship ends, mm-hmm. and you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, like your whole world is going to end.
Absolutely.
It was that times 10. It hurt me so bad, I couldn't even cry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's not when I got my diagnosis. That's just when they saw the lump.
Right.
So of course I had to go through the next day, because of where it was and how big it was. They wanted to biopsy it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't do it the same day, but I had to come back the next day, 6 o'clock in the morning. So I called my mom. I was like, I have to have a biopsy on the lump that's in my breast. And she was like, okay, it's okay. We got this. At this time, I hadn't really told anybody else. So the only people that knew were my mom and Kyle. Because I really was like, I didn't really want to tell anybody because I already don't want people to worry. But then I didn't want to be treated like glass.
Right. I understand.
So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't say anything. And I just held on to it. And, people were just as fast as I could pray that, God, just give me the village that I need during this time, is as fast as people were falling off. So it's like, okay, I can handle that.
So when did you officially get your diagnosis?
September 30th. Okay. I'm riding in the car with my beloved. We were trying to get a rental car. And the whole day was kind of like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. Oh, okay, now this is going to happen. Oh, okay, now this is going to happen too, along with that and this too. And you're going to put a little bit of that on it too. Okay. She had told me that it would take 3 days to get my results and that they don't really come in on Fridays. So I would have to wait until Monday. So when I got home that night, I just, I talked to God. I told him, you know me better than I know myself. I'm not a worrier, but if you can't do anything else for me in this moment, put me out of my misery. Let me know now. I got the call on Friday. It was 1:36. I'll never forget. We were driving back home. We were at a stop sign. I wasn't even driving, but the car was stopped. I remember that. And she asked me, she said, are you driving? I said, no, but I'm in a car. She said, well, do you need to pull over? I said, the car stopped. She said, you have stage 3 breast cancer.
So for the people that don't know what that means, can you explain what stage 3? Because obviously there's stage 1, 2, 3, and I asked you earlier about 4 and 5, right? So can you explain that just a little bit?
Stage 3. So first of all, there are 2 phases of staging. There's your clinical staging and then there's your pathological staging. Your clinical staging is what you get before they go in and look at it, mess with it, anything. Okay. Before you have any kind of breast surgery. Okay. So clinically, I was staged at a 3, which means that it was small but aggressive. By the time I got my first chemo, it had grown almost 2.5 centimeters in size.
Okay. Staying with September 30th? Okay. So you were in the car with your beloved, right? So after she said that, what was your reaction? What was his reaction? What did you do next?
I hung up the phone and I looked at him, but I couldn't tell him. It wasn't a fear of like, okay, he's going to leave me. It wasn't that. It was, for the first time, I was going to have to say that I have breast cancer. So he just kept saying, what is it? What did she say? But I think he already knew. But he just wanted to hear it.
Right.
And so I had to tell him. She said, I have breast cancer. And I don't know if it was his natural reaction. I don't know if it was God. I don't know what it was, but he just said, okay, we got this. So that was the second time that I had heard, we got this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he'll ever know or understand how much it meant in that moment, because I'm never a person who's afraid to walk away from a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, I was prepared to walk away because I didn't want to put somebody through that. Because that's heavy.
Right.
It's heavy.
Right.
And it's especially heavy in a relationship where you're not married.
Mm-hmm.
You're not promised to me. I'm not promised. There's no covenant.
Right.
There's no agreement between me and you for sickness and health.
So
riches, poor. There isn't any of that. It's just one of them, well, I think I can, but I'm trying to figure out who you are first.
Right. Right. So was it more your fear that you felt like that? Or was there something that was like, oh, he's gonna walk away from you for real?
No, it was, I think, just the selfless part of me not wanting to put somebody through that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my brother struggles with his significant other, you know, with an illness.
Mm-hmm.
I watch my mom struggle taking care of my grandmother, who's ailing because of just old age.
Right.
I saw how my grandmother deteriorated fast.
Right.
So it was like, I didn't want to put that on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know in the moment, you know, I had been trying to read to prepare myself for it, but I didn't know in the moment what stage 3 meant.
Right.
I didn't know if that meant I had time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if that meant, I didn't know what my fight was going to look like.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Right. And I get it. If you're just joining us, we are talking to my girl AC, right, about her journey through breast cancer. And if you were here with us in the beginning, she mentioned that she's a warrior. Okay. So we're just kind of going through the story, and I really appreciate you guys joining us. So listen, look, let me ask this. So you told him, and then what was the next conversation?
I had to go talk to my mom.
Uh-huh. What did that look like?
But I knew that I couldn't tell her that over the phone. My mom is a very spiritual person, so not that I felt like she was going to worry. I just didn't know how she was going to initially take it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that she was... my mom is always expecting a miracle. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I felt that she thought that the miracle was going to be, oh, it's nothing, it's benign, we don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the miracle she was expecting. Right.
So you drove to her house?
I drove to her job.
Oh, you chose violence.
I drove to her job. No, choosing violence would have been not telling Cynthia DQ. That would have been.
Hey, mama.
I wish I would have tried to not tell her. I think she was even a little upset that she was the very first person that know. So, yeah, I wish I would have.
Right. So you drove to her job, and
my mom works for our church. So I drive to her job. I knock on the door because, of course, they have a child care center, so it's a secure facility. I'm knocking on the door because my mind isn't telling me, ring the doorbell, dum-dum, you know. Ring the doorbell. I'm knocking on the door, and then I'm like, oh, it's the doorbell. By the time I hit the doorbell, they're coming. And the lady is she knows me. So she's trying to talk to me and see how I'm doing. But I can't see her. All I can see is my mom.
Right.
It's like tunnel vision.
Right.
And I walk up to her and I'm looking at her. She's laughing. She's laughing because she's in a conversation and she really didn't realize what I was there for. Because it didn't dawn on her. Oh, okay, she got her test results back. So when I told her, she was still laughing. She was laughing. And she was laughing. Her coworker, Aunt Cece is like the world to me. She helped me with both of my kids because of the childcare center. She stopped laughing first, and she said, "Let's pray." And then my mom said, "Oh, wait, what?" And so I said, "I have breast cancer, Mom."
So she didn't even realize what you said at first.
Mm-mm.
Oh, wow.
Mm-mm.
So you had to repeat yourself.
I had to say it again.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
And then when I said it, Cece said it with me. She said, "Breast cancer. Let's pray." And Cece probably will never know, but she has been instrumental in my journey as well. Cece sent me a text message and a scripture every day. Like every day.
Wow.
No breaks, every day. To this day, she still sends me a scripture. That's and those powerful. Scriptures have gotten me through. Because of course, you get a cancer diagnosis, life doesn't stop.
Right. Absolutely not.
Things keep happening.
Heck yeah. So y'all prayed, and what was your mom's reaction? Was it just to just go in prayer with you?
Okay. And she was solid. She was just solid. And she was unwavering. But that's how my mom is. My mom is probably the most spiritual person that I know. That don't get it twisted. Six Gun Annie will get you.
Not Six Gun Annie.
Yes.
What?
But God has done some amazing things in that one.
Yes, if you know Miss Cynthia, she don't play about that at all. Do you hear me? So you go tell your mom and she's solid. Then what's the next thing that you do?
I have to call my dad and my brother.
Lord Jesus.
I can't call Kai because she is still at school. I have to wait till she gets home.
So I'm assuming that the dad and the brother's conversations was cool. Like,
I call my brother, and my brother's really good with, if he can't answer the phone, he'll send you a text back. He sent me a text back. So that gave me some time.
Right.
I drove to my dad's house. I left the church because I told you my mom works at our church. I left the church. I went to my dad because my dad works at night, and I'm really big on not disrupting his sleep. You can ask him. The house can be on fire. If I can roll him out, I'm gonna roll him out. I don't like disturbing people. So I go to his house, and he was awake, but I think that maybe, he had just waken up because he was still kind of. And so I said, "Dad, I need to tell you something." And he looked at me, and the way that he looked at me, it was one of those, "Don't tell me you're pregnant." Don't tell me you're pregnant. Like, Dad, I have breast cancer. And he looked at me, and his face was just like, not. I felt like he couldn't take anything else. Because mind you, we had just lost my brother. So, my dad has been seriously grieving my brother.
Right.
So to have to tell him that.
Right.
It took a lot out of me, and then it took a lot out of him.
Right. So I haven't heard so far in this story of you crying.
I didn't get a chance to cry.
Okay.
And so funny, my pastor, so my mom told my pastor, like, Amber needs to talk to you. Because I feel like, I had been praying myself, and I had been in my word myself. So I didn't really I didn't get scared or anything like that about having breast cancer. My fear was for the people around me. Because when you don't know how strong you are until you have to be strong.
Oh, girl, yes.
You don't know how strong the people are around you until they have to be strong for you.
Absolutely.
So I couldn't cry. I couldn't cry because I was practicing. I was practicing because the most important people I had to tell, I hadn't told you.
So your dad, what was his reaction?
My dad was just like, I'm praying. I'm praying. And I know that I know you got this.
Okay. So he had positive mindset. Yeah, so everybody that you've told so far in this story has all been positive.
Oh yeah, everybody's positive at first.
Okay.
It's when you get into the journey, it's when you get into the battle, into the war, into the treatment, into the I can't day. That's the heavy part.
So what was Kai and CJ's reaction?
I told Kai, and Kai kind of like looked at me like I can't take nothing else. Because my daughter does not have a relationship with her dad. She's been struggling with that. She was struggling with a new school, new environment. And so I think that at the time when it all just started happening for her, it was like, it's a lot.
Right.
It's a lot.
Right.
So she just broke. And I have never, ever, 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 ever seen her break like that. Because Kai is pretty strong. She's like my mom a lot.
So did that make you break down?
Nope.
Interesting. So you were just comforting her.
Yeah. I didn't have a choice.
Right.
Because, for me, they're everything.
Right.
And so I wanted to make sure that they were okay before I was not okay.
And CJ?
Oh, CJ was just like, I don't think he really understood how serious it was, but he was kind of like, oh, mama, it's okay because we're going to kick cancer's butt.
Right.
And you know CJ's a little turd nerd. So he was like, we're going to kick cancer's butt.
So you told all of these different people, right? And then how did you get to the phone call with me in LA? Okay, but pause the story. Let's pause before we even get to that conversation, right? Can you take me back for a second? Sure. If you guys don't know, right, go look up Leonard Anderson, LA, No, I'm Right, Mr. Main Attraction. He's my bestie, okay? But before he was my bestie, he was this one's cousin, okay? So they have a whole different relationship than I have with him, okay? Can you tell the people out here? First of all, do you remember how we met?
Of course. Well, we were going to eat. Where were we going to eat at, though?
Oh.
Do you remember where we were going to eat?
I don't remember where we were going to eat. But we need to plug in this laptop before we lose everything that we about to do. Can you get the cord that's underneath my desk? And yeah, we're gonna have a private engineer go get this this cord before we lose y'all for sure, and then have to make a part 2 already. I don't want to lose y'all. Okay.
But somebody else's reaction
underneath the desk.
Okay. That really got me too was my bonus baby. So he and Kai are about 2 years apart, and he wasn't at the house when I told them, because it wasn't his weekend. When he came, it was like he already knew something was wrong. But when I told him, he was so calm.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like an old man. You know, like he was just like, oh, okay. You okay? You okay?
You all right?
And every time he would come to the house after that, he would come find me. He would say, hey, and he would say, you okay? You good? And for me, you know, it was simple, but it was a check-in.
Right.
You know, it was like, okay, well, am I okay? Am I good?
Right.
How do I feel today?
Oh.
Like, yeah.
Oh.
He made me mentally check myself a lot.
Yeah. And this is your bonus thing.
My bonus thing. And it's so ironic.
We always need those in our life. I have many bonus babies on the other side.
And I'm probably oversharing, but you know, he's going through his own journey with his mom. She was diagnosed not too long after I was.
Oh my goodness, that's so crazy. How do you feel?
Like it's a lot. That's why I say, you know, us as Black women, we really, really, really got to get on it. And we got to get to it, you know, because the highest mortality rate is in Black women.
Right. It's that one right there. Yeah, I told you we got an engineer in the studio right now. He's trying to help us. I'm trying to help him help us stay alive, y'all. So we're doing some behind the scenes stuff, you know. But we're trying to make sure we don't lose y'all. Hallelujah. I saw the light. I saw the power. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Okay. So wait, how did you meet me? We was going somewhere. Where was we going?
We were going somewhere to eat. And what happened is I wanted to go one place, you wanted to go another. And you know, y'all know me, I don't play about my food.
Now that part I don't remember.
I don't play about my food. And so anyway, we get out to eat. Candy is the loudest heifer at the table. At the restaurant, probably in the area code. Just loud.
It's usually laughter.
Yes. I was looking for a little baby pig somewhere. And it was like, I don't think Candy liked me because she didn't realize who I was when we first met.
I mean,
that's where we were.
Who is you?
Yeah. I'm important. Yeah. And he had just got out of a relationship, so it was like he was fragile, and I didn't want anybody else to be around hurting him and abusing him.
But he's my bestie, so you know I was protected from the day that I met this crazy man. So, like, if you a protective cousin sister, and I'm a protective friend,
he doesn't protect me.
And again, she's like she said, I don't know who she was. I mean, I don't remember if he introduced you that. I think he just said Amber.
I think he had told the group that his baby cousin was coming. But it was like when I got there, everybody was cool, but you.
I was not.
This helper don't even know me. I'll push her down these. Well, push her down.
Listen, most people get along with me almost immediately. So
I mean, I have to fill you out first. But I will say, Candy broke my ice earlier than most people do. Because I will ice you down and out.
I don't even know how many years later this is. This is what, 5-6 years
Too
later?
many.
Right. But I can tell y'all that just like that man, Lamar Anderson is my bestie. This one right here, I will fight you behind her. Okay? Do you hear me? Oh, okay. I'm just checking. So we're going back to how did you get to the conversation with LA and I? Because you've been telling all of these people all day, and you told us on the same day too. How did you get there?
Y'all didn't leave me no choice. Because I've been telling you all week, like I gotta go have this mammogram and I gotta get these results. So you wouldn't let me not say anything. And that was like the most annoying ever. I was like, she's not gonna let me just be quiet today.
Nope, it ain't happening.
And so I think we went to Elle's house.
No. You were always on the phone. Because
that's right. Because I was trying to FaceTime him, and he didn't have his SIM card in the iPhone. So he was saying, I'm not getting no calls. His mouth was just so fly. And then he said something. And I said, God damn it, I have breast cancer.
And we were both like, what?
Crickets.
What did she
Cricket.
What did she just say? She didn't say what we thought.
And then Candy hit her famous line. Father God. Father God
in the name of Jesus. Because y'all know I'm a PK, so like everything is going to be about God anyway. Even when I'm not actually praying, I really am praying. And so that was my first reaction. But you want to know what really went through my head in that very moment?
I do.
I said, I got so many more years with her. Why right now? Okay, what? Excuse me? And so, what you don't know is because that was like maybe a 5-minute conversation with you and I and him. I got off the phone with Elle. I went back to call him and I was like, are you serious right now? And he was like, we just gonna get through this. And I said, I know we're gonna get through it. And you know I'm gonna be there and to support her. But are you freaking kidding me right now? And he was just like, it'll be all right. She's gonna make it through. Yeah, she'll be okay. And normally we always encourage one another, but I needed encouragement right that moment. Because I was like, huh? Okay, I'll get it. Like you can't allow, I feel like, again, 5 or 6 years at this point that we've known each other. And I'm like, we got a lifetime to go. What you mean? Yeah. That's not long enough, okay? Yeah. All right. So let's not do this. She gonna make it through. We'll be all right. Okay. What we need to do? Right. And then that became kind of the general too. So right. Okay. So let's fast forward in this story a little bit. Okay. So we've gotten our diagnosis. We've told everybody that we need to tell. Where do we go from here? Like, because a lot of times people don't understand what the journey is. Like, tell us what the next things are happening. Like, from there.
You go through what I call in my book discovery. And discovery is where you go through 100 million plus 35,000 tests and scans and blood draws and sticks and pokes and prods and turn this way and give me that vein, try that on, put that. Oh my gosh, you go into discovery. And discovery is where they try to find out where you are. They want to know what type of breast cancer it is, how aggressive it is. They want to try to find out, how big it is and what it's going to take to fight it. So there are 3 different. Okay, so like let's just imagine that this is a breast cancer cell, right? And you have these 3 prongs. They're called receptors. And that's what they use to fight or treat breast cancer. So if you have those 3 receptors, they give you medicine, your breast cancer goes away. Okay. The less receptors you have, the harder it is for your cancer to fight. Okay. Because you don't have those receptors. Right. So there's a estrogen receptor. There is a progesterone receptor, and then there is what they call HER2. So I was HER2 negative, and I was estrogen positive. So I only had 1 receptor. Wow. And my 1 receptor was only 20% functional.
Oh, Jesus.
So I was a rare functionality, and I am what they would call a functional triple negative.
So going from that, right? Then what was your treatment plan like? What were they saying? Okay, now that we know this, what was your treatment plan?
My treatment plan was 4 doses of chemo by doxorubicin, or AKA the Red Devil. It's the strongest chemo drug that you can take. It turns everything in you pink. Well, it says red, but it's pink, which is why they call it the Red Devil. Your tears are red. Your urine and your poop is red. It's horrible. It's horrible.
So, okay. So you start this chemo.
I started chemo on November the 8th.
Okay. So we're almost to a year, right? So November the 8th. How did you feel afterwards?
My first chemo? Yeah. Oh, my first chemo. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I got this. This is good.
But then when did it really kind of stop?
My hair fell out.
Yeah.
My hair fell out November the 18th.
Man, so if y'all have not seen this girl before this, go look at some pictures on Facebook, man, and you will see that this child has some pretty hair. Okay? And I felt like that was probably going to be her breaking point if her hair fell out. That's what I
was prepared for my hair to fall out. What they don't tell you is you don't just lose your hair on your head.
Right.
It's like a licked lip.
So everywhere the girl's hair lost its hair.
Every inch. Head.
Eyebrows. Oh, Lord.
Eyelashes. Even the little baby ones down here. Invisible ones. The hair on your lip. Underarms. Your vajayjay. The hair on your knuckles.
Jesus.
You lose every piece of hair that you have.
So, again, we still have not heard where you actually cried about all this.
You want to hear it? You want to hear it? Because I never cried about cancer. I cried because chemo hurt. Fighting cancer hurt. But cancer never made me cry. Or, if I could say that I cried about cancer, it'll be when I proverbially rung the bell. Because I didn't get to ring the ding, 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 ding. No. I didn't want to ring my bell without important and special people around me. I really couldn't ring my bell without my circle.
Right.
So, I haven't rung the bell. I've been waiting.
We need a date, that's all.
I know.
We just need a date.
I know, I'm going to work.
We're going to figure that out. I mean, it's just that simple, We put things on hold so that we can be. So, but again, I've seen you cry, right? And I know you've cried about these different things that have transpired, right? What would you say was the most difficult moment throughout this process?
Oh my gosh. I thought chemo was bad. And they tell you chemo is the worst part. No,
what's the worst part?
Radiation.
Oh.
Radiation is like, it was hell. It was hell. So not only are they burning you from the inside out, while you're burning from the inside out, because you have these hot flashes where it could be 32 degrees outside and you in a sweat. Like I've literally been, I've had my house like icebox cold for the last year because the heat flashes are just out of this world. But they're burning you from the inside out and your skin literally peels off.
Wow.
And in order for it to heal, because of where it is, you have to hold your arm up. And you have to keep your arm up for days. Days. to get it to heal.
Mm.
So for me in the journey that I was in, that was probably the worst part.
Wow. So what do you do for that? I mean,
Hold your arm up.
Is there any other relief?
No, they give you, like, they prescribe you Silverdene cream if you ask for it. But let me say this. Find you a Black doctor if you can. I didn't get to do that. But Black women and medicine, it's really, really tough. Like, they didn't want to give me pain pills. They didn't want to give me, I had to literally ask for, anything extra, like pain pills. I couldn't sleep at first because for whatever reason, in my mind, the devil, I'm going to say it was the devil, had tricked me into thinking that if I went to sleep, I wasn't going to wake up. So for the first 3 or 4 months, I didn't sleep. I was just up.
Child, let me tell you something. If I woke up at 2 o'clock, I would just try Amber. Because I figured she was up because she had already told me that she couldn't sleep. So I came up randomly at 2 o'clock in the morning just to see if she was up. And half the time, she answered the phone. So, sleepless nights, and you mentioned because if you thought that you closed your eyes, you wouldn't wake up. Yeah. So when did that really set in, though? That, okay, I may not wake up.
Right before I started chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Right before I started chemo, I was reading. So the first thing that they tell you is, don't go on the internet. Don't read anything. We're going to tell you everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that because they don't want you to scare yourself.
Right.
But they scare you worse. Because they tell you what they want you to know. Mm-hmm. So, like, the hot flashes, they didn't tell me that until I told them. It was like, and I'm having these hot flashes. They're like, normal. She's like, oh, yeah, that goes along with the chemo. Like, what?
Why wouldn't you tell me that before?
And let me tell you, I read so many cancer books. I read the breast book. I read several other books. None of them really said anything about, like, the little things with chemo, like hot flashes. Mm. They all tell you you're going to lose your hair. But they don't tell you you're going to lose your eyebrows and your eyelashes. Mm. They don't tell you you're going to lose your pubic hairs under the arms. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you your nails are going to turn black.
Jesus.
You're going to look like a little
Morticia or something.
Wolverine. Like, I'll tell you that. Your nails look like everything about you changes. Right. Everything. Your skin changes, your nails change, your skin dry. The bottom of my feet peeled so bad. I didn't think I was gonna have no feet when I got there. So, like, it was just crazy. Like, all the changes that my body had to go through, it was crazy. My body got really, really dark. It was dark.
So we're kind of talking about your mental and your physical, right? Mm-hmm. So tell me, how did your relationships change with people?
You know what?
And did you tell anybody besides the people that you mentioned earlier?
No. I didn't tell anyone until my cancerversary, which was September 30th of this year. And I actually, I went up for prayer at church, and my pastor had been asking me, if you feel comfortable, will you share your story? And I told him I can't share my story with you until I get to a place where I can put a period.
Right.
And so he kept asking, and I was like, I know God is telling him to ask me that, but I know he's also telling me to be still, because I had been saying from, the start, I'm going to write this book, because I wanted to be able to help the next me.
Right.
If you don't see yourself in something,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to stand up or stand behind it.
Right.
So I just kept telling him no. And then September 30th passed this year, is my camp anniversary. I was sitting at home and I felt like the most important people, I had told them, like, this one day is my day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care about Christmas. I don't care about Thanksgiving. This is my new day.
Right.
Give me this day. And everybody with Radio Ghost on me. Everybody. And I was like, wait a minute, but it wasn't that they had went Radio Ghost on me. God was talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
and when you realize, that you're trying to get someone's attention,
Mm-hmm.
or when you realize that someone's trying to get your attention, it calls you to be quiet and to be still. And so I had to be still that day. I realized. So the next day, I got up, I went to church, and the one scripture that I had been reading my whole journey, my pastor preached it. James 2. So I said, okay, well, I guess this is my day. So I went up and I told my business to the church. My testimony.
How did that feel?
It was a relief.
Okay.
I didn't realize how much I had been carrying and holding on to. So to get up there, because first of all, those who know me know I don't tell my business. I don't even like gossiping, so I ain't telling your business either.
That's for sure.
So to get up there and to tell all of those people, not my sisters and brothers in Christ, but to tell all those people my business, God was saying, but it's not your business. It's your testimony. And I think that in that moment, that was where I found my new purpose.
So what do you think that your new purpose is?
To tell people about breast cancer. Tell young Black women about cancer.
Yeah. Because she's telling her business for the first time, y'all, on this platform. And I mean to other people than the church, you know. And I appreciate you doing that, first of all. And it's an honor, right? My last questions as we begin to wrap up. My last questions to you is a couple of things. Number one, your relationships with these people that were supporting you, right? And then other people around you. Has it put you in a different vision or sight for them?
Definitely.
Talk about that.
Like, so my circle turned into a dot real fast. Real fast. So, like, all of my girlfriends that I would hang out with, all right. Because you got to think, we had already gone through COVID. And so I took COVID very serious. There were not a lot of people that I went around. People thought I was being funny. And I was okay with it.
Right.
So going through COVID and then having to go through this meant that my immune system was compromised. So now I'm cutting off even more people.
Right.
So it went from associates to now it's associates and friends to now it's associates and friends and acquaintances or whatever the case may be. So, like, now there aren't very many people that I talk to. I could probably count on one hand. And I'm okay with it. I felt like, those who knew, those who needed to know knew.
Right.
And, in the moment, I don't feel bad about it because some people aren't meant to grow with you.
Right.
And I feel like this was an opportunity to grow.
Right.
Because I had been questioning God. a lot.
That's
And
right.
I had not been living my life according to his purpose. I had gotten into a season of just doing Amber and being okay with it. But when you're called to do something more, you can only deny it for so long. You can only not recognize it for so long. You can only put it aside for so long.
Right.
So I think that this was just God's opportunity to get rid of some of the chatter.
Okay.
So I had to accept it. Some relationships hurt, and then some, the response of what I had to go through made it okay for me. Yeah.
If you had to identify, right, one thing that you feel like you could tell somebody else that's about to go through all of this, what would you tell them?
Ooh, don't let anybody tell you that you're okay.
Expand. What do you mean by that?
When you're going through something, people are going to treat you differently than they would treat you when you're not going through something. And a lot of times when we need to be not okay, people want to make us okay.
You're okay.
You got this. You can make it. And not that I want you to baby me, or not that I want you to sugarcoat it, but if I'm telling you I'm not okay in this moment, it don't mean that I'm not okay forever. It doesn't mean I'm not okay with what I'm going through. It just means that for this next 5 seconds, I'm not okay.
Right.
Whether I'm nauseous, I don't feel good, whether I haven't slept for the last 3 days and I finally can get some shut eye, I'm not okay in this moment. So don't let me have to tell you more than once that I'm not okay.
Right. Because I always tell my counseling class, like, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And especially in like the era that we're living in, like therapy and counseling is like more and more profound than it's ever been.
Right.
It's still shied away from in the Black community, but I think that it is a necessary need.
Right. And is that something that you sought for your kids and for yourself throughout this process?
I have not. I have not yet. And I haven't yet because one thing is I wanted to talk with them first because I feel like that I can help other children, by allowing them to share their stories themselves. My daughter does not want to talk to a counselor right now. My son doesn't want to talk to a counselor right now. But they have both said that they would like to talk to someone when they're comfortable.
Okay. So you're just kind of allowing them, because you haven't seen anything that is destructive or okay, cool. So I'm okay with that, right? But I always would say, there are some things that you're going through and that you've never gone through before. And if you figure out that you're not coping with that very well, right, that's the time to see somebody. Yeah, absolutely.
They're not like suicidal.
Yeah.
They don't, act out. They actually, especially my daughter, kicked in a lot with helping, whether it was taking her brother to school. Like, she learned how to drive during the summer. Because there were
y'all, they are funny. Listening to Amber and Kai in that car, learning how to drive, Lord. I was just praying for poor Kai. Let me just say.
She drove me crazy. But she would go get in bed. And I to fuss at her because at the end of the day, she's still a teenager.
Right.
She still have her little lazy moments where, she come to the house and want to put her backpack in the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
But for the most part, she helped out. She helped with her brother.
Okay. So the kids.
She kept me laughing. You know, there were some times where I didn't want to laugh, but she made me laugh.
Right.
And then there were some times where I just couldn't, like, I couldn't get out of bed. And between her and Jamal, like, I probably, if it were not for my mom and Jamal and Kai, I would probably be in a nut house.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure of it.
They were there. Not just physically, but they were there. Like, there were a lot of times I probably used them as punching bags because I was mad. You know, because chemo, like, even just reading some of the side effects of chemo, you get complacent. You get forgetful. And just dealing with cancer, you get aggressive.
Right.
Because you go through a phase of, why me?
Right.
You know, and I never got to say, like, why me? Because I was trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to get through this?
Right.
Not, oh, I can't do this, but how am I going to get through this as far as what's the next step? What do I do next?
But it's trauma because you're going through the grieving process at this point, because you're grieving the old person that you were, because you cannot be the same person. Once you finish all of this, you cannot be the same person. While you're going through it, you're not the same person. You're trying to identify who you are.
And I'm going to tell you something. If you go through something like this and don't know who you are, you'll get lost.
Absolutely.
You'll get lost. Because you have a lot of, like, I can tell some of the nightmares that I have had just on chemo they could probably be really good horror movies. Really good horror movies. And it's like, you know, when you think about it, right? When you think about, okay, in my mind, I'm a young mother, raising 2 kids, full-time employee, and I travel with my job. I had to take a year of telling my job, like, I can't do my job. You know, like, I can't travel. I can work, but I can't travel.
Right.
I had to be forced on FMLA because I was like, I was scared to not be able to provide. You know, I was scared to not be able to get up and go to work.
Absolutely.
So there are a lot of, you know, devils that you fight with during the journey and during the process. But if you just keep your mind focused and stayed on him, he'll get you through.
Well, I think that is a perfect note for us to leave off on. And so keep your mind right? Keep your mind stayed on Jesus. Hello, huh? Oh, okay, well, let me not start. But listen, if you stayed with us this time frame, I know we've gone over our hour, but if you stayed with us this time frame, we appreciate it. Go back and rewind. If you missed some parts, y'all, don't forget to click subscribe, get all of those notifications right, so that you can come back and get all kinds of tips and listen to some of these amazing people that I will continue to have on my show. This is not the last time that you will see Miss AC, right? And hopefully we can see some of them more podcasts coming out of them crazy cousins, y'all. Oh my God. But I appreciate you watching Candyology. Remember, you need to continue to have love, sex, and relationships, and make sure that you get those breast cancer checkups, okay? And keep it healthy. Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah.